Welcome to another quiet journey through time. Tonight, we drift back many centuries to a world of damp earth, wood smoke, and softly tolling church bells. A world where life moved slowly, bound to the rhythm of the seasons, the rise and fall of daylight, and the toll of obligation. This is the life of the medieval peasant. Not the knights or kings of legend, but the quiet millions who worked the soil, tended animals, and prayed for enough to see another spring. As you settle into rest, imagine the air growing colder. The scent of rain on straw, the distant echo of a rooster calling across the fields. Here, there is no rush. Only the steady rhythm of work, hunger, faith, and rest repeating like the turning of a wheel. Let us begin with the first scene, the daily life of those who lived beneath the castle walls. Life, defined not by great battles, but by endurance, patience, and the simple beauty of surviving another day. Take a slow breath. The journey begins before dawn. It is still dark. The air inside the hut is heavy with the smell of old smoke and damp wood. You lie beneath a coarse wool blanket, its rough fibers itchy against your skin. Outside, a rooster stirs, not yours but your lord's. His crow tells you that it is time to rise. You pull yourself upright on the straw-stuffed mattress, brushing away the bits of husk that cling to your tunic. The floor beneath you is dirt, cool, uneven, and scattered with last night's footprints. Few embers still glow in the hearth. You stir them carefully with an iron poker, breathing life into their faint orange light. The smoke curls upward through the small hole in the roof, carrying with it the familiar scent of soot and damp ash. The rest of the household stirs slowly. A child coughs softly in the corner. Your wife reaches for a clay pot, pouring the last of yesterday's thin ale into a wooden cup. Water is precious, and drinking it raw is dangerous. The ale, though weak, is safer. There is no clock to measure your morning. Time moves by the rhythm of light and labor. You step outside into the gray chill. The sky is pale and heavy with mist. The village smells of soil and smoke, of manure and wet wool. Nearby, the blacksmith's hut is silent. His work will begin once the sun breaks the horizon. The air hums faintly with the lowing of cattle and the muffled bleating of sheep still penned in. You move to the fields, your hands already rough from years of work, close around the worn wooden handle of the hoe. The ground is cold, the soil stiff with morning frost. You begin to loosen it, stroke by stroke, each motion steady, repetitive, quiet. The only sound is the soft thud of earth and the rhythm of your breathing. This is your life. Days shaped by the will of the land, and by the expectations of the man who owns it. You do not own your field. You tend it in service, paying your rent not with coin, but with labor. At mid-morning, the bell of the nearby church begins to ring. Its tone rolls across the valley, slow and hollow. You pause, leaning on your hoe, and look up at the gray tower on the hill. It marks both time and hope, though both belong to someone else. Round you, the other villagers work in silence. A woman gathers sticks for the fire, her skirt heavy with dew. A boy carries water from the stream, careful not to spill. Even the smallest hands have work to do. At midday, you rest briefly, dark, dense, torn, and dipped into a small bowl of broth. If you're lucky, there's a sliver of onion or a spoonful of lard to soften the taste. You eat slowly, sitting on the edge of the furrow, watching the distant hills where wildflowers grow untended. By late afternoon, the sun weakens. Your back aches, your fingers burn, and yet there is peace in the pattern. You know every sound. The creak of your cart, the distant bark of a dog, the way crows call when the day ends. This rhythm is your world, and has been for generations. When the light fades, you return to your hut. Inside, the air is warm now, scented with smoke and stewing vegetables. A small candle flickers on the table, made of tallow, its flame soft and uncertain. You eat, you pray, you talk quietly of tomorrow's weather. Outside, night settles over the village. A few distant voices fade into the dark. The fields are still, and somewhere a wolf howls. Not close, but near enough to remind you of the wild beyond the hedges. You lie down again on the straw bed, the same as every night, same as every life you've known. And as you close your eyes, you listen to the faint crackle of the dying fire. The rhythm of your day is endless, familiar, and oddly comforting. The world outside continues. Wars, kings, plagues. But for you, life is this: the earth. Your breath and the long quiet between one sunrise and the next. The days pass quietly, one folding into another like layers of worn cloth. In the heart of the village, where the stream turns, the creaking wheel of the mill, lives a boy named Thomas, the miller's son. He is not remarkable in any way that history remembers. There are no books with his name, no monuments, no songs, and yet his story is one among countless others, small. It's forgotten threads that once held the great tapestry of the Middle Ages together. Imagine yourself in his place. You are perhaps 12 or 13 years old, though no one knows your exact age. You rise before the sun, not because of duty alone, but because the rhythmic groan of the mill wheel is your morning bell. It never truly stops, even in sleep. You hear it in your dreams, turning and sighing with the endless flow of water. The mill stands apart from the thatched cottages built from heavy timbers, smelling of grain and river moss. Inside it is cool and shadowed, filled with the constant whisper of grinding stone against stone. Dust hangs in the air like fog. Each breath tastes faintly of flour and damp wood. Your father moves slowly through the space, his body bent from years of lifting sacks and tightening ropes. His voice is low, calm, deliberate, a man who speaks only when there's something worth saying. He shows you how to watch the grain fall through the hopper, how to listen to the rhythm of the stones. Too fast, he murmurs, and the flour burns. Too slow, and the bread will be coarse. You nod, though you already know. You've watched him for years. The life of a miller is not quite peasant, not quite free. You belong neither to the fields nor the castle, but somewhere in between. The Lord owns the land, the water, the grain, even the stones. Your family keeps a portion small but steady, and the rest is given as rent. Thomas dreams, sometimes of leaving, is heard stories from passing travelers of markets in distant towns, of cathedrals so tall they pierce the clouds, of oceans wider than belief. But those are dreams meant for others. For now, the stream, the wheel, and the whisper of turning stone are his whole world. As the day wears on, he works beside his father. They haul heavy sacks of grain, pour them into the chute, and wait as the mill sings its soft, grinding song. Outside, the water glimmers in the light, slow and brown, carrying fallen leaves and reflections of clouds. Villagers arrive in quiet procession, women with baskets, men with carts. They bring barley, rye, and wheat, and they wait patiently as the wheel turns their harvest into flour. No one hurries. There is nowhere to hurry to. The air smells of grain and patience. Sometimes Thomas steals a moment by the stream, sits in the shade, listening to the buzz of insects, the murmur of voices, and the slow, endless sound of water over stone. He dips his hands into the current, cool, smooth, clean. Feels like freedom for a moment. One day, a monk arrives from the nearby abbey. He wears a simple robe, and his sandals are thick with dust. He brings grain from the monastery fields, but he also brings something rarer, parchment and ink. Thomas watches, fascinated, as the man records his measures with careful strokes. Letters, symbols, that shape meaning. The boy has never seen writing up close before. Later that evening, he asks his father about it. Books are for priests, the old man says, shaking his head. Words can feed the soul, but not the belly. Still, Thomas wonders what it would be like to understand the marks that make meaning. He begins to trace them in the flour dust on the table, copying shapes from memory, crooked lines, circles, strange loops that seem alive. He wipes them away before anyone can see. The months pass, the rhythm never changes. The stream freezes in winter, loosens in spring, floods in summer, and dwindles again in autumn. Each season the mill sings a little differently, its voice shaped by water, wood, and wear. So too does Thomas grow. He learns the trade by heart, the feel of good grain, the scent of spoiled flour, the sound that tells him when a millstone has cracked. But something in him remains restless. Sometimes, as the last light of day fades and the water wheel slows, he stands at the doorway, looking toward the distant hills. He wonders what lies beyond them. A castle, perhaps, town, or maybe just another village, another boy listening to another wheel. And yet he stays, because duty is heavier than curiosity, and roots grow even where the soil is thin. One autumn evening, The air smells of smoke, someone's hearth burning peat. Thomas sits by the fire, his father asleep beside him, and watches the embers shift and glow. He thinks of the stream, the stones, the wheel, the small world that has shaped him. He knows that tomorrow he will wake, and the rhythm will continue. But for a moment, he imagines what it might feel like to walk until the mill's sound fades behind him. He doesn't know that this thought, this quiet flicker of wanting, is a kind of rebellion. Small, silent, harmless, the first whisper of a world that will, centuries later, change beyond recognition. For now, though the mill hums, the stars appear, and the village sleeps. The sound of the wheel turns steady through the night, a lullaby of work and water carrying another day away. The year drifts onward, softly marked by the cycles of labor and light. Each day, the fields change their color from green to gold, from gold to gray. And with this change comes the most sacred time in the peasant's life, the harvest. It begins before dawn with the quiet promise of plenty. The first light spills gently over the fields, glimmering on the dew-soaked stalks of wheat. You can hear the murmur of voices before you see them, the villagers gathering, scythes in hand, their breath visible in the cool air. There is no sound of command, no trumpet or bell. Only the soft scrape of iron, the rustle of straw, and the low hum of songs that are older than memory. You walk among them, the air heavy with the scent of grass and sweat and ripening grain. It is a time of both labor and reverence, a ritual older than churches, older than kings. Every swing of the scythe, every tide sheaf, feels like an offering to the earth itself. Imagine yourself there, the rhythm of the work steady and hypnotic, cut of the blade through stalks, the soft sigh as the wheat falls, the gentle thud as it's gathered into arms. All around, people move in a slow, practiced dance. Step forward, a sweep, a bend, a lift, again and again. The rhythm of their day is made visible in motion. Children run between the rows, laughing softly. Elders sit in the shade, mending baskets or offering sips of watered ale. Even the animals seem to move more gently, aware that this is no ordinary workday. As the morning light warms, the songs begin to rise. Simple melodies hummed in low voices, passing from one worker to the next. They speak of the land, of rain, of gratitude. No one remembers who first sang them. They are as much a part of the earth as the soil itself. At midday, the work pauses. Everyone gathers for the shared meal, bread, cheese, perhaps a roasted onion, or a strip of salted meat if fortune allows. The food is plain, but the taste carries meaning. For many, it is the last time of abundance, before the long, uncertain winter. There are small rituals scattered through the day, the bending to kiss the earth after the first sheaf is cut, the weaving of a small bundle of the final stalks into a doll of straw and ribbon. She is called the Corn Mother, or sometimes simply the spirit of the field. She will be kept in someone's home until spring, a reminder of the land's gift and its mercy. As the day wanes, the golden light thickens. The field is nearly bare now, stubble catching the sunset like tiny mirrors. You can hear laughter, quiet and tired. A sense of completion settles over the village. When the last sheaf is brought in, the people turn to the small open space beside the church. There the priest waits, his robe faded, his voice soft. He blesses the harvest, tracing the sign of the cross in the air. His Latin words drift upward, half understood, half blended with the language of the people's older faith, because beneath the prayers to saints and angels, something older still breathes. Whispered thanks to the soil, to the river, to the quiet power that makes seeds rise from the dark. These are the remnants of ancient belief, carried forward like embers through the centuries. That night, a small feast begins, not lavish, not loud, but warm. Torches glow, the air smells of smoke and bread. The villagers gather in the open, sharing ale from wooden cups, telling stories, humming tunes that drift softly into the dark. The children fall asleep first, their faces lit by the last orange flicker of the fire. The elders sit quietly, watching the sparks rise into the night sky. Every spark feels like a prayer to the heavens, to the soil, to time itself. Imagine sitting there among them, the night air cool on your skin, the taste of bread and smoke lingering on your tongue. It's the hum of conversation fading into a lullaby of crickets and distant bells. You realize that for these people, faith is not a single thing. It is not confined to stone walls or holy books. It lives in gestures, the sharing of food, the touch of soil, the turning of seasons. Their world is small, yet vast in its quiet meaning. As the fire burns lower, someone brings the corn mother doll to the center. A young girl holds it high for a moment, then places it gently beside the hearth. It is said that as long as she remains safe, so too will the village. The people nod, satisfied, and return to their homes. The fields lie empty now. The moon rises, bright and full, casting silver across the stubble. A soft mist creeps in from the river, and the village falls into silence once more. Tomorrow, there will be threshing, grinding, baking, more labor, more rhythm, more repetition. But tonight there is peace. The year has come full circle, and the earth has given enough. You can almost hear the mill wheel turning again in the distance. Slow, steady, patient, the sound of life continuing as it always has. And as you close your eyes, you can feel that rhythm settle in your chest. The rhythm of their days, the heartbeat of forgotten centuries, a lullaby sung in wheat and wind. Imagine yourself once more in that same valley, now dressed in winter's stillness. The fields lie bare, and the sound of wind replaces the rhythm of sickles and song. Smoke rises from the manor, slow and white, like the sigh of a giant sleeping creature. Inside, warmth flickers behind high windows. Tonight, the Lord holds a banquet. You, a peasant, are here again. Not as a guest, but as a servant. One of many shadows moving quietly between light and laughter. You stand near the edge of the great hall, in the half-dark, where the rushes beneath your feet are damp with spilled ale. From here, you see it all. The hall is vast, timber-bird beams stretched like ribs of a sleeping beast, blackened with soot. Candles drip upon iron sconces, and the air glows with a honeyed haze. The scent is thick. Roasted boar, baked apples, and the sharp sweetness of mead. There is music too soft and repetitive, the plucking of a lute somewhere near the dais. It rises and falls like breathing. You keep your head bowed as the Lord and his guests feast. Their garments shimmer with threads of gold, their sleeves heavy with fur. They speak in slow, indulgent tones, stories of falcons, hunts, and distant wars. Their laughter rolls through the hall, unhurried and deep, like thunder heard far away. You and the others move quietly between tables. You refill goblets, gather bones, scrape crumbs into wooden buckets. You feel the heat of the fire on your face, then the chill of the outer corridor when you pass through it again. It's a rhythm you know well. Serve, step back, observe. Sometimes you glance at the food, a pie filled with venison and herbs, bread soft as cloud. You think of the coarse barley loaf waiting for you at home, the soup of roots and cabbage that will be your meal when this is over. But tonight, hunger feels distant. You're too tired to feel envy. You just watch half asleep, lulled by the hum of voices, the murmur of the fire. On the high table, the Lord sits with his lady. He is large, wrapped in a red cloak, his beard streaked with silver. She, pale and composed, holds a goblet lightly in her hand. You can see the jewels at her wrist catch the candlelight, each movement painting glints upon the wall. They do not notice you, but you notice everything. The way the servants bow and murmur, the way the minstrels play softer when the Lord speaks, the way the hounds at his feet stir only when bones are tossed their way. It feels like a different world entirely, one where time slows down and bends around comfort. You realize that these people, so close you could touch them, live by a different rhythm entirely. Their hands are smooth, untouched by frost or soil. Their nights end with laughter and wine, not the ache of hunger or cold. Yet for a brief moment, as the Lord lifts his goblet to toast another winter survived, you feel something unexpected. Not envy, not bitterness, but a quiet stillness. Because even here among abundance there is the same soft rhythm of breathing, the same flicker of candlelight, the same fragile, fleeting warmth that all lives share. As the feast winds down, the hall dims. Guests drift away, leaving only half-burned candles and the echo of laughter. You sweep the rushes, gather the scraps, and watch the fire burn low. The Lord retires, the hounds curl up by the door. Somewhere a harp string breaks softly in the silence. You step outside into the cold night. The air smells of frost and wood smoke. Stars are clear, sharp as flakes of ice scattered across the dark. You walk the path home, your feet finding every rut and frozen puddle by memory. Your body aches, but your mind feels quiet, peaceful in its own small way. Back in your hut, you lie on the straw mat. Your breath rises, slow and even. The sounds of the manor drift faintly, a distant echo of music, then nothing. Just wind against the thatch. And as your eyes close, you imagine. The candles still burning in the great hall, the shadows flickering across the stone walls, the unseen warmth that connects the lord and the laborer, the noble and the forgotten, for beneath the castle walls, above them and within them, the rhythm of life continues, slow, patient, eternal, the same breath shared through time, closing reflection. As the night deepens, the medieval world fades gently away. You have walked its fields, smelled its smoke, heard its quiet songs. You've seen both hunger and plenty, despair and small joy. Now, as the stars turn above you, you drift between centuries, where time softens and history hums like a lullaby. Rest now. Let the sound of the wind in the thatch carry you. Sleep comes, like dawn over the valley, inevitable, gentle, and kind.